Good evening and welcome to episode 3 of the Pack Homer podcast. We're back. I'm Cal Parker, joined by my two best buds, Adam Litch and Wes Wilson. I got a lot to discuss tonight. The Pack's 2-1 series win on opening weekend versus VCU. Parker Byrd's history-making night in Greenville. Of course, Coach Avent's 1,000th win in a Wolfpack uniform. And an exciting opening weekend of college baseball in general. A lot going on, guys. I'm going to hand it over to Wesley first. 1,000 wins in the red and white for the man that Wesley likes to say has the worst facilities in the ACC, is out punching every year. Wes?
Yeah, it came one day later than maybe we would have hoped for, but all the same, amazing that Coach Avent has 1,000 wins with red and white. You know, we talked about it with Andrew last week, the lack of resources that the coach has had for his entire tenure there, and to compete every year, year in, year out at a national level is just it's just something that is amazing. So congratulations to, of course, Coach Avent and the team. Special day at the Dope today. And also, while we're on it, congratulations to Boo for his extension this week. And my suggestion to Boo as we roll out the 2025 budget is we put a statue in that of Avent out front of Dope. So Boo, congratulations, but go ahead and put that in the budget for 25.
Adam?
Oh, that's good stuff. No, I think it's awesome. Coach Avent got his 1,000th win at home. You know, I think that makes it more special, right? Rather than having to win it during a midweek game or something on the road. So I think it's cool for him. That's hard to believe. He entered his 28. This is his 28th season, so it's pretty special. I think it's on the broadcast today, they said, I think it's the 5th most among active coaches wins at a school. I think that's the way they worded it. So very cool. Another cool thing is the Pack Homer podcast today. We donated $1,000 to the Pack NIL for baseball in honor of Coach Avent's 1,000th win. So we'd encourage other Pac-9 fans to do the same thing, support the baseball NIL program. We think it's important, and the sponsor dollars that we get, that's what we pour it back into. We're committed to spending it back on the Pack. So, yeah, I'm excited for Coach. I know he's probably glad to have that monkey off his back and can focus on the rest of the season now. So there was a lot of talk about when it would happen and that sort of thing. So I'm sure he's ready to move on and look forward to the rest of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember one time when I was playing we went over this before. Not when I was playing my freshman year, but when I was watching in uniform at Mount Olive College. I don't even remember the coach's name now. I'm ashamed to say that, but we were playing North Florida back when North Florida was Division II, and we were playing them at home in a midweek matchup. I think we actually played them twice in back-to-back days. And, coming over from the dorm to take batting practice, a couple hours before the game, we pulled up and, we're used to a couple hundred people being in attendance at first pitch. And a couple of hours before the game, before we even took batting practice, the seats were full. And it was because their coach there was coaching for his 1,000th win. And I think we actually beat them on the night one and made them wait another night. But yeah, well said, Adam, getting the monkey off your back. I know he's ready to go to Hawaii and bask in the sun a little bit, not have that hanging over his head. And yeah, certainly cool to get to do it at the Doak. So we're definitely the Pack Homer podcast. We want to talk NC State baseball, but something really cool happened in Greenville this weekend that I think is worth mentioning. Parker Byrd. I want to let Adam kind of lead us into that, since Parker Byrd is a Scott, just like Adam. So, Adam, tell him about what happened in Greenville this weekend, and maybe a little more of the backstory there with Parker Byrd.
Yeah, so if you're listening to a NC State baseball podcast and you don't know about what happened in Greenville with Parker Byrd, then you must have been hiding under a rock this weekend, because it was on pretty much every sports outlet, not just college baseball outlet. But Parker Byrd, Lawrenceburg, North Carolina kid, went to Scotland High School, actually committed to East Carolina as a ninth grader, was a 4-year letterman at Scotland. Great kid, great family from Lawrenceburg. And unfortunately, his after he graduated high school, he was in Greenville that summer and was got caught up in a boating accident. Just a terrible situation. Lost one leg. Had a lot of damage. One thing that they don't really talk about is, he had a lot of injuries to his other leg. At one point they even feared, could be, both legs. So went through a lot of surgeries. I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 20 or 20 something surgeries, I think, at least the first couple of months. So it's been a long road. I think they said it's been like 18 or 19 months since that injury. But just a story of perseverance. He was, never gave up on his dream of wanting to play college baseball. I'm sure what happened this weekend to him, does not satisfy that dream. But got his first plate appearance, pinch hitted. I guess that was Friday night, right? Was it Friday night or Saturday night? Friday night, right?
Friday night.
Drew a walk, and the place, in East Carolina just went absolutely nuts, and it was all over. It was on D1 Baseball, had it on their homepage as the story of the weekend. It was on ESPN, Barstool, all the outlets just shared it. Just what an incredible story. First Division I college baseball player to play with a prosthetic, and just really happy for him, his family. A lot more to come, and Parker's been such an inspiration to so many outside of baseball. I mean, baseball and his story at East Carolina has obviously given him that platform, but he's a good kid, and just don't have enough good things to say about him, and glad for him, and it's exciting to follow along. I think it's wish him all the best. Hope the Pack still gets the win over the Pirates, obviously, when we play them, but definitely be rooting for him.
Yeah, Adam, that was a really special story for me too. Not just because I got too many Pirates in my family growing up in Eastern North Carolina, but also I think some of our listeners may know, but my son Carson was born with one arm. I got a 12-year-old little boy who plays soccer, plays baseball, plays golf. I'm actually getting to be his little league coach right now. It's pretty cool, but he was born with one arm above the elbow, and to kind of see what he's gone through growing up, we've kind of always just never told him what he couldn't do, and just ask him, let him do whatever he wants to do. If he wants to try it, we've always wanted to support it. And things sometimes are a little bit harder, but it's actually really cool to sit back and watch. I remember when Carson was first to the age where he could talk. It's easy for us to think about all the things you can't do, and when he was old enough, he could talk really, and I could have a conversation with him. I said, Carson, I would ask him, how do you do certain things, because I'm just kind of fascinated how he thinks. And I said, Carson, how are you going to brush your teeth? And he just like starts laughing at me like it's the dumbest question in the world to him, because he's like, well, Dad, I'm going to put the toothbrush on the counter and put the toothpaste on it while it lays on the counter, and then I'm gonna brush my teeth. So he just kind of gets a kick out of that. But his story is a lot different than Parker's because Carson doesn't know any different. He was born with one arm, so he doesn't think about how it would be with two arms. He can't even imagine that. So I think really, and Carson, me and him were talking about this today. What Parker Byrd has done is honestly a lot harder than what I would say Carson goes through day in and day out, because he's a young man who's lived 18 years with use of two legs. and was at the very top of his game. Like Adam said, he's a Division I commit as a ninth grader. Just an exceptional athlete, and to lose a part of him that made him who he is, or helped to make him who he is as a player, and then to overcome that and put back on a uniform. I would be, and to get back on the field again after all the surgeries and after all the rehab. I would be lying to you if I were to say that that didn't make my eyes sweat a little bit when I saw a couple of those clips on Friday night. Really cool story in Greenville. Anything you want to add, Wes?
No, you guys hit it. It's just inspirational on so many different levels for a horrific accident like that. And of course, for us on the coast where we live, we heard about it immediately, and we knew how severe that injury was from the beginning. And to think 2 years later that he would be taking that and one of the better programs in the country is unbelievable, unbelievable.
Pretty remarkable. So to the Doak this weekend, we were 2-1 series winners over the VCU Rams. As Wesley mentioned last week, the university where Coach Avent actually got his degree from. And game one, we started Sam Highfield, won a 6-1 ball game, fell 9-6 to game two, in a game that Dom Fritton started, and was just kind of a ugly game where we made 4 errors, never really played consecutive innings of good baseball, I wouldn't say. And then came back today to win the series with a 5-3 win. Freshman Ryan Marone getting his first collegiate victory. And the Pack starting 2-1 here early in the season. Let's talk a little bit about the good, the bad, and the maybe ugly that we saw this weekend. I'll start with you, Wesley.
Well, I think we had, in my opinion, maybe we'll put the great, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because today Ryan Marone was great. I mean, for a freshman, rubber match, Coach Avent's 1,000th win. I mean, incredible crowd for 48 degrees in Raleigh, North Carolina. I mean, he really showed up, and that was fun to watch for a freshman. So I think that was definitely great. Really the same could be said for Van Dam on Friday. Van Dam was really good. Highfield was solid. The walks are something that I'm sure we're going to limit that in the upcoming weeks. And you already touched on the errors on Saturday. So the errors were kind of a glimpse back to last season. So it's something that hopefully we can shake off and we get on the airplane heading to Hawaii. But yeah, I would just add great to the good as you guys break down what we saw this weekend.
Yes, sir. Adam?
Yeah, I would have to echo Ryan Marone. I would say him plus the other freshman guys that we got to see today. I think we had 4 newcomers on the staff pitching today, but 3 freshmen, and they all look good. So I think that's exciting for those guys to get some appearances this early in the year, kind of build some confidence, against what I thought was a pretty good VCU team, at least from a pitching standpoint. They had, pitchers with good stuff. But Marone really, he looked sharp. And I like too, we had a lot of good at bats today. It seemed like, it's, seeing Pennington finally kind of break through a little bit after, a bit of a slow start the first couple games was good. So, and I think, didn't Serrano he had a hit today. I think he was like 1 for 12 at that time. So, I would have to go to the shining star would be Marone for me as well. But again, seeing all the freshman pitchers, I thought was exciting. We were talking about it. We didn't really know who was going to come in. It's a little bit of a change from where we left the season last year, where we had, I think you mentioned it, Cal, one of our earlier episodes about, it was pretty set who we were going to bring in, who was coming out of the bullpen. So, and of course, it will get narrowed down as we get into the season, but it was exciting to see some young arms that you got to think are going to build some quality innings for. So that was exciting.
Yeah, I think when we
Yeah.
had, go ahead, Wes.
Well, when Adam just said, VCU has some guys with some good stuff, I remember Adam telling me that when you guys are flying back from Hartford, Connecticut this year.
Oh God.
That UConn's a pretty
Yeah.
good team. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'd stop to stay there.
Hopefully we're
Yeah.
more right this time. Gosh.
Yeah.
Last week when we had Andrew Sensen on, we talked about we had to eliminate some of the errors and not walk guys, and play better defense. And we played 2 errorless ball games, but we made 4 errors in game 2. We'll talk about that here a little bit more in just a second. But for me, I was definitely impressed with Marone. You get 8 strikeouts from a freshman that's up, toeing the rubber for his coach's 1,000th win in NC State uniform. That's pretty dang cool. But I was just really excited to see Butterworth at short and how well he played. I think if I looked earlier, well, I was at the ballpark on Friday, and they had a couple of balls just hit really hard at him. Those in between hops, and everything just seemed, it seemed automatic. And I know he's batting at the bottom of the lineup. He's a guy that's in the lineup every day because of his defense, and he was definitely a strong point for us in the field, a place that we did struggle a little bit this weekend. I was just here looking at the stat sheet. He had 11 opportunities this weekend. He was 11 for 11, 8 assists. So I think Butterworth there at shortstop was another bright point. I was telling my wife when we were there at the ballpark on Friday, we had a lot of new guys in the lineup that haven't played a lot of college baseball or not been in a Division I batter's box a whole heck of a lot other than what they were in the fall. And just talking with her about how some of those guys carry themselves and they look in the box. I thought that Alex Sosa, like from the time he stepped in the box for his first at bat, he just has this swagger about him that I belong here. And he only started 2 out of the 3 games for us this weekend, and it's a long season. I don't expect him to hit 429 all year. But he was 3 for 7, 2 walks, had some good at bats. Just really, I thought, looked the part in the batter's box. Hevner, a guy that's waited his turn to hit 2 out this weekend. That was pretty cool to see. I'm not worried about Eli Serrano. Hitters hit. I wasn't really worried about Pennington if he had went 0 for the weekend. Hitters are going to hit. And hitters are also going to go in slumps where they go 1 for 18. That's just baseball. But to see some of the younger guys to not shy away from the big stage, you could just tell the way some of those guys carried themselves. We got a lot of options in the lineup. I don't know how many guys we ran up to the plate this weekend. Just looking down the list, I guess you had Sosa, Drew Lamphere, Jacob Cozart, of course, Hevner, Souls, Pennington, Amac, Josh Hogue, Brandon Butterworth, Eli Serrano, Luke Nixon, Chase Nixon, all those guys getting at bats this weekend. That's a lot of guys that you can kind of interchange and write out a lineup card every day, and I think that's pretty exciting. So transitioning, some of the things that we would say concern us. You just can't make 4 errors in 3 games. We didn't make 4 errors in 3 games. We made 4 errors in 1 game. So hopefully that's an anomaly, but 4 errors is a tough way to win games. And we didn't even really it didn't cost us a whole lot of earned runs. We gave up 13 runs this weekend, 11 earned. So, we lost that game 9-6. It didn't technically lose us the game on paper, But man, when you're kicking it all over the place, I like to say playing soccer with it. Um, it really kind of takes the edge off of things and kind of gets you in it can go back to the batter's box with you too. And so for me, the ugly would certainly be the fact that we went out there worried about making errors, trying to be a better defensive baseball team, and we go and make 4 errors on Saturday. That was a little bit concerning to me. Wes?
And oh, go ahead, Wesley.
All right, you can go ahead, Adam. We're still learning, baby.
Yeah, right. I was just going to say, that just had a thought come to me talking about, what's concerning. I guess, concerned early on with Sam, right, and Highfield and walking a bunch of guys early. But I thought he recovered from it very well and showed a lot of poise, to be able to come back. And, I think he gave up 5 walks. But we ended up with 11 strikeouts, I think, on Friday night. I think 32 for the weekend, and ended up with 12 walks all total. But it just seemed like a lot at one time on Friday, obviously. So that was concerning early on because you want to get off to a good start, and you put a lot of guys on base. And in college, there's just a lot of small ball. You just don't see those opportunities really at the next level with pitchers putting guys on, but. At college, it's obviously a big part of the game. So I was glad to see him recover from that. Right? I mean, we're all just big fans of Sam, and want him to finish out his career on a real positive level, and excited for him to get that first start. On opening game. So I was glad to see him kind of bounce back from giving up putting some guys on early.
Wes?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about on the previous podcast, you got 20 new guys, 20 veterans. So I think we saw that, this weekend with plug and play. But I think it's exciting that the DH spot, there's going to be a ton of everyday competition. I mean, there's going to be, from practice, no practices off. I mean, there a ton of competition that's only going to make the lineup better. I mean, for me, again, we had the 4 errors, like Cal said. Did that win or lose us the game? No. Did I see anything that I'm concerned about? Not really. I mean, I saw a ton of talent on the field, a ton of, veteran talent, a ton of young talent. The pitching out of the bullpen was great, for a first weekend. I mean, I'm jealous of those guys that, especially the freshman pitchers of February, they come out there and, the bullpen shuts VCU down, to win that 1,000th game. So, I'm excited, I think it was a great showing. Will we want to sweep? Sure. But also, I mean, if you think about that third game, and, already we've dealt with some adversity. These guys, showed a lot of heart. What more could you ask for in the first series? The warm up to ACC play is not very long. So it's going to get real very quick for these guys, and to have that type of an opening series, I think will definitely benefit us, the pitching staff, and the entire lineup down the road.
Yeah, I had some notes here. You talk about not being too overly concerned. It's a 2-1 series win. It somehow feels a whole lot more concerning if you were to lose the series. Then you kind of you're pretty down and dejected. But guys, college baseball, it's a grind. You're 56 games. We talked about that the other night. You think you're going to roll out there and just sweep every non-conference series? It's not realistic. We're going to talk about a little bit the ACC here in just a little bit, but just top 25 losses this weekend, just to put it in perspective. If any of you are a little bit sore over us not sweeping VCU this weekend, of course, just in the top 25, we had VCU lost 1 out of 3 to, or NC State lost 1 out of 3 to VCU. Number 2, Florida lost to unranked St. John's. Number 9, Tennessee beat Texas Tech. They would have been favored in that game. Unranked Cal over over number 24 Kansas State. Indiana beat number 18 Coastal. Coastal also lost to Duke. So Coastal number 18 in the country with 2 losses after the weekend. Oklahoma 5-1 over Tennessee. Unranked Arizona, which kind of sounds weird to say, But unranked Arizona, I don't know. I would have considered them an underdog against Northeastern, but they beat Northeastern 2 out of 3 this weekend. Lehigh beats number 20 Iowa. Campbell's going to be good again. Man, they do a good job down there. They win 2 out of 3 over number 17 Santa Barbara. James Madison over number 3 Arkansas. Duke, as I mentioned, beat Coastal in a game they would have been favored in. San Diego over number 16 Texas, and Florida Atlantic, unranked Florida Atlantic over number 4 Vandy. So we just, that's all the top 25 losses we had this weekend. Number 2, 3, and 4 lost. So yeah, like piggybacking off what Wesley said, you win Series 1. You run out a lot of new guys, a lot of guys I think that, look athletic, look the part, that are only going to get better the more times they are able to get in the lineup and get an opportunity to play under the lights. Not a bad weekend overall. Anything else to add, guys, on that? Okay. I wanted to talk about the ACC a little bit before we talk about our trip to Hawaii. I've been kind of trying to follow. I apologize for any background noise, but Hawaii and Ole Miss are playing. It's going to be tough next weekend when we play at 11:35 Eastern time. Wesley already complains that we record so late at night, so I don't know what we're going to do when the games might not even be over next week when we play. But in the ACC this weekend, before or when we started recording tonight, the ACC went 32-5 on the weekend. So we talked about the ACC being a gauntlet. The ACC went 32-5. State 2-1 over VCU. Wake went 3-0 this weekend, number 1 in the country. They went over 1 over Fordham, Illinois, and Akron. Clemson 3-0 over Xavier. Notre Dame 3-0 over Rice. Duke went 3-0 against Indiana, George Mason, and Coastal. UVA 3-0 over Hofstra. Pitt 3-0 over Maine. UNC 3-0 over Wagner. Miami 3-0 over New Jersey Tech. Louisville lost 2 games this weekend. Lost to Indiana State and UConn. The UConn baseball program, you were giving us a hard time earlier about their football program, Wesley, but the UConn baseball program has been pretty good the last couple of years, and they beat Louisville this weekend. Boston College split a pair this weekend. They played Ohio State and Kansas State. They were up 8-6 over Cal when we started recording tonight. Virginia Tech won 2 out of 3 over UNC Charlotte. Georgia Tech went 3-0 over Radford. And Florida State, due to the weather down there where Adam's at in Florida, only got 2 games in, but they went 2-0 over Butler. So 32-5. The ACC goes in week 1. Does that change your mind any about what we already thought the ACC was? I don't think a whole lot.
No, it's toughest in the country.
I mean, that is getting it done. Anything you guys saw in the ACC this weekend that really stood out to you? Were you guys able to follow any of it very close?
Well, I think Virginia Tech series win over Charlotte. I mean, just goes to show the depth of the ACC. I mean, Charlotte's picked to be second in the American right behind East Carolina. So, I mean, I think for them to go to Charlotte and win that series opening weekend, again, is just a testimony to the overall depth of the ACC.
And what did you say, Adam? 11 home runs?
Yeah, 11 home runs for Duke. And then they led off today, first pitch of the game with another home run. So, yeah, that was pretty impressive. There were some big scores, a lot of runs put up this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know how many runs Duke scored this weekend. I didn't have my calculator. I think they scored 23 in one game, but I told you guys last week I thought Duke was going to be a problem. And honestly, I thought they were going to be a problem because of all the arms they had. And then they go down to Myrtle Beach this weekend and hit 11 home runs in a game, and come out of there 3-0, beat a ranked Coastal Carolina team, beat an Indiana team that we already talked about, had an upset win over Coastal themselves. So Duke I thought definitely looked the part this weekend, and that's going to be the ACC is just going to be the gauntlet that we've been preaching until something changes. I think that you better pack a lunchbox every week. So on to Hawaii. I think the whole Hawaii thing has surprised me this weekend. Have you guys been paying attention? We're going to Hawaii next week. Well, we're not. We're going to be here in the cold and 50-degree Raleigh, but the pack is traveling to Hawaii. I'm guessing they're going to probably leave a couple of days early to give themselves some time to adjust to that time change. But the pack is going to play. Is it the Rainbow Warriors? Is that right? I don't want to
That's correct.
disrespect Hawaii, but anyway, we're going to play the Rainbow Warriors next week, flying halfway across the world, and Hawaii this weekend. And I'm trying to get the final here. Hawaii, it ended up being a split, so they won Game 4 today. They played 4 against Ole Miss. Ole Miss, just a couple years ago, your College World Series champions, went down to Hawaii and split with the Rainbow Warriors. So a lot, another challenge next week. They're not just gonna lay down for us because the mighty ACC is coming on to the island. You guys, I don't know how much you guys got to pay attention to that. I was just kind of following the box scores a little bit. The one thing that did stand out to me, and I don't know if this has changed, but there was not a single home run hit between either team going into Game 4. Neither Ole Miss or Hawaii was able to hit a home run in that series as of the 8th inning of Game 4, which Adam just mentioned that Hawaii was able to win. I think they were up 10-4 in that game. Do you know the final, Adam?
13-4. Ole Miss had 6 errors. Ole Miss had 6 errors today. And in all fairness, I do think Ole Miss is picked to finish dead last in the SEC, which is just crazy. Them and Mississippi State being with the facilities they got there, they're picked at the 2 bottom teams in the SEC. So, but yeah, and even that.
How does that happen?
Game,
how do you go from winning the College World Series? See, guys, that's why you got to give money to the baseball NIL fund. Lane's taking all the dang money, and now these guys went from the College World Series. They're like hoping. Well, they don't even got an NIT for baseball. These boys are over losing to the Rainbow Warriors. What's happening?
Yeah, and I think the first game Ole Miss came back and won it late. I'm pretty sure. So it was
in 13,
but it was
extra innings that first game.
Oh, okay, yeah,
13 inning ball game.
Yeah, so
that's another thing that stood out was the fact that Hawaii was able to play 13 innings against Ole Miss and win the game, because you would think a SEC bullpen has got to be a lot deeper than what Hawaii would have, and so to go toe to toe and go deep into a 13 inning ball game, and Hawaii keep running guys out there to get an Ole Miss lineup out, it might have flashbacks of this weekend, because frankly, against the VCU bullpen this weekend, we weren't very good. So that'll be something to kind of pay attention to in that matchup next week. What's the time difference between here and Hawaii? Just so we can kind of
6.
Is it 6 hours? So yeah, I'm looking here. We play at 6:35 Hawaiian time on Friday night, 6:35 Hawaiian time on Saturday night, and then we play at 1:05 on Sunday.
So it's 5.
So
5 then, right?
Is it 5 or 6? 5? 5.
I thought
so we're playing at 11:35 Eastern.
Yeah.
11:35 Eastern. We will take on the Rainbow Warriors. So, real quick, and we'll wrap up talking about Hawaii and wrap this one up. You guys expect anything different in the rotation next weekend? You think we go with the same 3? Gosh, one thing we didn't talk about earlier is Dom, again, ran out there, looked electric for 3 innings. Again, hit the wall in the 4th inning. I know that he's probably as upset about that as anybody. But what do you guys think will mix up the rotation after seeing some of the guys that we saw out of the pen?
Personally, don't
go ahead, Wesley.
Early on.
Yeah, I think we'll keep it the same. I think that at least for this series we'll keep it the same. See how that goes, and and then evaluate from there. But I'd be shocked if there's a whole lot of mix up in the original rotation we saw this weekend.
Yeah. I do think if anybody does break into the rotation, which I don't think, I think it's very premature to take Tom Fritton out of the rotation, and then on top of that, Highfield and Maroney, even though Highfield did have some control issues, some command issues with his 5 walks. I think he gave up 1 hit in 5 innings, so I kind of agree. We won't change anything there, but Shane Van Dam was good, guys. He came in and threw 4 innings. He was, and I don't know how accurate the scoreboard is in the dope. That's another thing, dang it! Like, why can't we get the speed on television?
No,
Like,
I know.
I'm sitting there like,
How are we supposed to track that if we can't even get the radar on the ACC Network Extra?
if anybody
And
listening has
the ACC network doesn't even know who's at second base. I mean, we're gonna have a
yeah.
radar.
Hebner was diving up for balls all over the place, laying out today, 3 balls in a row. I think when who was on the mound? Fanning came in. I don't even think a ball got hit out of the infield, and Hebner's jersey was in completely dirty in 3 minutes of game action, and every single one of the plays was credited to Luke Nixon. We actually had somebody in our group text us and say, "Man, it sounds like Luke really gloves it." We're like, "Yeah, well, it's not him, because even the radio and the TV guys had it wrong." But
Yep.
back to the speed thing. Anybody listening that's got any pull, like, we would like to maybe see how fast our pitchers are throwing on television. It seems like the SEC can get it, but the only way we can find out, whether a guy's throwing 90 or 100 is to go to the ballpark. So if anybody can make that happen, we'd appreciate it. But anyway, Van Dam, for anyone who couldn't see it at home, I was there when he threw on Friday, and he was up to 97, and just hard to believe that kid was going down the path of being a Division III quarterback. And nothing wrong with that, but he was going down the path of being a Division III quarterback, and now, my gosh, he looks like he's got the stuff to be a day 1 draft pick if he keeps developing. So I could see him, if some guys struggle or there's injuries, I would say right now he'd be the next man up to get into the rotation. He threw 4 strong on Friday.
Nice.
All right. Well, before we go, I want to talk about a couple things sponsorship wise. So as Adam mentioned earlier today, I still think we're in the red. Adam's our treasurer, so he's got to. It's not hard to count all the money we got coming in right now. But we did. We thought it was important with Coach Avent's 1,000th win today that we did, as we mentioned earlier. The Pack Homer Pod donated $1,000 to the One Pack NIL fund for the baseball program. I will say some of that money has come from our sponsors, as we promised that it would. We certainly would like to give more, and we would love your help from the sponsor side. Adam, do you want to give them the email information to reach out to us if anyone is interested in sponsoring the podcast?
So it's packhomerpod@gmail.com. Also, you can send us a DM on packhomerpod on X, formerly known as Twitter. We're working on setting up some of our other stuff too, but not quite there yet. So let's just limit messages to we got a few other things going on. So packhomerpod@gmail.com and packhomerpod on X is a good place to reach us.
Yep, and our title sponsor right now is Waters and Mathis CPAs. If you want to pack your pockets with tax savings, visit WMCPAs.com. WMCPAs.com. Looking for more sponsors. We're also looking for more Twitter followers. Follow us at PackHomerPod. We promise you, when we get 1,000 Twitter followers, which we're a long way away, but when we get 1,000 Twitter followers at PackHomerPod, we'll send another $1,000 to the One Pack NIL Collective for our baseball program. So follow us on at PackHomerPod. Anything else you guys want to add before we play our music? our pipe music because we're still learning that too. I do want to add we're on Apple now, we're on YouTube, and of course we are still on Spotify, and still learning how to get our show out to the masses. We did surprise ourselves last week. I think we had over 200 listeners, and maybe this week we'll be able to double that. Who knows?
I just looked.
Anything else, guys? Oh, go ahead, Evan.
I just looked in our tweet tonight. So far, we have 5,397 impressions. So I don't understand the analytics of Twitter or X, but that sounds pretty good. So we're getting there.
That sounds pretty good. We might be to 100 followers on Twitter before we know it. All right, guys, take care. We'll talk to you next week.